Hello, Star Citizens. Please help me with this decision, or maybe I've already made the decision and I'm just making this video to talk myself into actually pressing the trigger or pulling the trigger. It would be pulling the trigger, not pressing the trigger. Anyway, welcome to my video where I discuss whether or not to purchase the Kraken and whether it should be the Kraken or the Kraken Privateer, because I am also, completely in a nonsensical mood about that as well. So I'll get into why we're having this conversation in a little bit, but stay tuned for later today, where I will be doing the giveaway and, of course, announcing who's won our what was it, the Aegis Peregrine. And the way that I'll do that, I'll explain it a little bit now. So then maybe you watch this video, maybe you skip through it in that video. Essentially, what I'll do first is I'll pick who is the winner, whether it was a person who was a member or it was a person who was just a subscriber. And that I'll pick that first, so that before because there's always a prize, right? I work out the prize with whoever doesn't. If the subscriber wins, they get a prize regardless. Whoever wins as the subscriber, they get a prize regardless. It just may not be that particular ship. So that's the way that I'll do it. I'll start the video with saying who's going to win. Is it going to be a subscriber or is it going to be a member, right? And then all the members, they collectively share a 25% chance of winning. So it's basically I do 1 through 100, and if the number is 76 to 100, then that means a member is going to win the prize. And then if the number is 1 to 75, that means a subscriber is going to win the prize. So that's essentially how it works. That's how you share a 25% chance of winning. And yeah, so I think last month a member won because the number was like 78 or 70. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but yeah. And so then after that, I would do another drawing to figure out which member actually wins. Or then I would do my this subscriber won through random picking of a comment. Okay, so that's how I'll do it. And then we'll get to which prizes and all that stuff. So last month, I think the subscriber, I got them like an upgrade or something like that. I think can't remember what I got them. I think I sent them a skin and an upgrade. So it was like a CCU or an upgrade. I gotta stop saying CCU. It's upgrades. I sent them an upgrade. They didn't get the ship for that month, but they did get an upgrade, and I think they were satisfied. You can ask them in the comments if they want to talk about whether they were satisfied or not. I don't care. Be honest though. It's always a bummer to not get the first prize, I think, but that's why I always give a prize regardless. Like if your name comes up on my screen, you're getting something, and I try to make it not just like some super cheap thing, but I try to make it something that will actually help your fleet or whatever, So anyway, that's enough about the contest. We will announce our ship later in the month for which ship we're giving away this month. So of course, as always, like, dislike, leave a comment or subscribe. And you will be entered to win that. As many times as you leave a comment and like and dislike, that's how many times you will be entered to win, essentially. And then we'll pick a random comment, and yeah, it'll go from there. And of course, if you're a member, you don't have to do that stuff, but of course you can increase your chances by doing that stuff as well, per usual. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything I'm missing there. Oh yeah, let's talk about the Kraken. So it's interesting, I when I thought I talked myself out of buying an Idris, right? I know I don't need an Idris because an Idris is, I have a Polaris. The Polaris does enough to where I don't need the Idris to do that as well. Don't get me wrong, I know the Idris is a bigger fire force than an Idris is. I do get that because it has that size 10. Like I get it. But I just don't think having a Polaris that I also need an Idris. And I think in talking myself out of the Idris, I started to talk myself out of all of the larger ships. I know for a fact I don't want a Javelin. It's just too big. Even if I knew I had the crew for it, I just don't want the headache of a Javelin. And so then the Kraken, I feel like kind of caught some crossfire in that. Because I started to be like, well, I don't really need a Kraken either. I don't really need like any ship that's above this price point, basically, I don't need it. But I think I kind of did a disservice to the Kraken by doing that, because I don't think the Kraken deserves that. I think the Kraken is its own great ship. It has a lot of things going for it, of course. And if you watch my review, I gave them, the Kraken and the Privateer, very high scores. I gave them very high scores. So I obviously like the ship. So it wasn't, oh, I'm not gonna buy one because, of some reason, unrelated to the quality of the ship, or that was related to the quality of the ship. It was really just, I talked myself out of getting them, as in I can get something else. I can make up for it in another way. I can get this ship and this ship and this ship, and then I won't need that. But I think I'm coming to the reality that I do need it. And this all came about because I did a fix my fleet with the info runner. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know when it's coming out, but it'll come out when it comes out. And I think you'll all enjoy that one for reasons that I won't spoil. That it's going to be on their channel. I'll let them talk about it. But there was some things that came up, and it was like, I kind of had it in the back of my head that I wanted a Kraken, and I think through talking it over with them, I was like, I think I talked myself out of that a little bit too early. So let's get into why I might need a Kraken. All right, so let's take a little peek at my fleet. If I can do that. So I'll bump over to this. All right, so this is mostly what's in my fleet. Some of these, some of my CCUs haven't been applied here, but that's fine. That's fine. Like I have CCUs, some of which I haven't applied because I don't want the loaner for that ship yet. So I own the ship. I have all of the upgrades to that ship. I just haven't bought it yet. But none of that's relevant because I'll just walk you through it, right? So these are my ships. I have the Pioneer for base building, obviously. The Merchantman, which might be on the chopping block for getting a Privateer. But I really like the Banu Merchantman, so I think I might want to keep it, and that's going to be part of this conversation here. The Orion is for money making. The Reclaimer is for working with the Crucible, which is here. Working with the Crucible and kind of the synergy that those will have, where I can strip stuff and then repair stuff with what I stripped with. And then if I, can't use certain stuff, maybe I have to strip a ship of damaged stuff, and maybe the Reclaimer can do something with that. I don't know, but I feel like there's going to be a synergy there. The Polaris, like I said, is because if you look at my larger ships, I don't really have an attack ship, so I would be leaving myself open to not really being able to say anything or do anything if somebody came and messed with me, right? The Banu Merchantman is going to be pretty solid in a fight, but it's not going to be something you should be taking out with the specific goal of fighting with, So the Polaris was my, all right, I got something for you. If you come at me, I got something for you. And then the Odyssey is so I can go out and find planets to build bases on. And the Nautilus is defensive. In general, like I can put mines around whatever I'm doing, keep people away. The Perseus is to kind of work with the Polaris in the way that it's like I don't have an Idris, right? Which I could trade both of these in and get an Idris, but but I don't know if I want to crew an Idris for what this would be like, because this would be, I just want to go out and I'm gonna blow somebody up. I can technically blow up a Polaris, or blow up an Idris with a Polaris. Just gotta get a few lucky hits in, right? But at the same time, it will be a challenge to do that. So if an Idris attacks me, then it would be an uphill battle. But obviously, I would hire people to come with me and stuff like that, right? But I think the Perseus and Polaris combination allowed me to be like, I don't need an Idris. I don't need to play the F5 wars. And I'm okay with that. The M2 is really an Ironclad Assault, but I don't like that the Ironclad Assault doesn't have an M2 for its replacement. So, or for its, while we wait loaner thing. So I have the M2 with an upgrade to the Ironclad Assault. The A2 is on the chopping block, even though it's one of my favorite ships. It's one of those things where I think I might have to go head over heart. Because I'm not, I forgot, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning of the game. I'm not spending any new cash to get a Kraken, because that immediately takes it off the table. So if I have to spend new cash to get a Kraken, I won't get a Kraken. So that is part of this conversation, is what ships do I get rid of? I have enough credits, I think. Well, I definitely have enough credits with what I'm going to melt, but there's been some long fought battles to save money on some of these ships. And when you buy a Kraken, you're not really saving money. So there's this thing, right? Like I could find a way to get credits and then save money on the Kraken, but it would involve me spending new money, or I can not spend any new money, and get the Kraken at full price. And yeah, it's been difficult trying to figure out which one of those I want to do, and I might end up doing a mixture of them. We'll see, but I really don't want to spend any new money on the game. Continuing with the ships, the 600i is, that paired with the Odyssey, I think kind of keeps me from having to get a Carrack. The Crucible is, like I said, it works with the Reclaimer. The Phoenix Emerald is on the chopping block. The Star Runner is awaiting I actually have a Starliner, and I'm just waiting for the Starliner to come out. So that's kind of my loaner for the Star. It's the loaner I want to keep until the Genesis Starliner comes out. Well, actually, the Valkyrie is that too, but the Valkyrie's it's a little weird. The Valkyrie is my people carrier, basically, but the Mercury is the one I have the upgrade from to get to the actual Starliner. The Raylan is my cargo ship when I don't have a million things I have to do. The Corsair is, I think the Corsair is, it's really like, I like the ship, but I don't have any heart feelings about it. It could be upgraded, and it's also on the chopping block as far as getting this Kraken. The Redeemer, I have it. It's also on the chopping block. The Saber Firebird, I don't need. The Vulture is now a Terrapin, so that should be a Terrapin there, but that's fine. It's on the chopping block anyway. And the Saber Firebird on the chopping block. I have the Firebird because I do want to do stealth gameplay. I do want to do like stealth mission, like I want to be able to roll up on people, them not know that I'm there, and then all of a sudden they got a bunch of missiles being shot at them out of nowhere, and they're dodging, and then I'm zooming in and I'm shooting them. I think that would just be a fun way to do combat. It's like guerrilla tactics a little bit, sneaking up on people and boom, boom, boom. Now, that's not in a PvP way. That would mostly be PvE. If I wanted to fight, PvP, then I'm hopping in something else, like a light fighter or something, maybe the F7A or something. But the F8C I got, from the 10K mark. So that's not something I can trade in and get value from. The F7A is probably the hardest one for me. I think I would keep that just because of just the hard work that was put into earning that extra that extra bump from the F7C, I just can't see me like saying, oh, I did all that work for nothing because I was just gonna melt it, you know. So the Terrapin on the chopping block, even though I just got it. The Nova, the P72, the Nova is an upgrade from the Cyclone MT that I got with the Phoenix Emerald pack. The P72 is on the chopping block. MPUV tractor, Ursa Rover Fortuna, Ursa Medevac. The Nox I have to keep. The Nox is referral. The Rock on the chopping block. PTV is referral. So that's enough. That's the fleet. But what we're really trying to figure out here is what should I get rid of? So I'm trying to keep the A2. I do think the A2 is unique enough to where I could figure out a way to keep it. So we're gonna do some maths, some quick maths. I know you came to Star Citizen YouTube to watch a guy do math to figure out his fleet. That's exactly why you're here. So I'm just here to, let you know that you came to the right place. This is this is why I'm the best YouTuber, right? Because we do math on this channel. So, but it's gonna be quick. We're not gonna do a whole lot. So this is what I'm trying to do. I need 1650 to get the base Kraken. I need 2000 to get the Kraken privateer. Now, I'm either getting rid of the A2 or the Perseus, or both. And I would preferably not like to get rid of both. Now, here's the thing. If I get the privateer, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to get rid of the BMM. Because it just wouldn't make sense to have the privateer and the Banu Merchantman. I could have both. I could probably find a reason to have both, but I know deep down it doesn't make sense to have both. If I got the regular Kraken, then I can keep either the Perseus or the A2 and have something to go with that. Now, the A2 is, I like the fact that it can carry tanks. I like the fact that it can do a lot of things, but I don't know how much I need it. Because one of the things we talked about in that, I don't want to spoil the episode, but one of the things we talked about is I thought I needed a certain security component to something that I don't need a security component for, because I don't think that it'll be as necessary for security in the way that I planned on using the A2. That being said, I still love the A2. It'll probably be one of the very first ships I buy when I get in game. But I think that's where I'm moving towards, is like, the A2 is not now that it's super expensive in game, the amount of grinding to get it, I think is going to be a problem. But they do sell it. So it's not rep gated or anything like that. So, that's another thing. It's like, it maybe in the future, the A2 will be rep gated or something. And that might be a problem. And maybe that's when I would be like, maybe I'll purchase the A2. I'll buy it back or something. So we'll see. But the Perseus was always a cool to have, not must have. I like the Perseus. I prefer the Polaris by like this much. But yeah, I prefer the Polaris, and the Polaris is staying. So that's why that's on the chopping block. The Phoenix, I really can pull off what I wanted to do with the Phoenix with the 600i that I have, and the 600i staying. So this is more like I know in my heart I wanted a Constellation ship, and that's part of why I went out of my way to get the Emerald, and I bought the pack and all that stuff, and it doesn't have great insurance and all that. Yeah, and I don't want that. I don't want. I know that I really love that skin. That Phoenix Emerald skin is my favorite skin, and that's why I bought it. But I think this is part of like my maturation in Star Citizen, right? Like I think I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't have the gall. I didn't have the intestinal fortitude to do what needed to be done, to cull the herd, you know? Um oh, and this I think this kind of looks like a ram. Like I don't know. I like this because it kind of looks like a ram. Anyway, I don't know. If you noticed it and you were like, "What's up with your hair?" That's what's happening. I went for the ram transformation. Um, but yeah, the thing here is, it's like I know I'm gonna probably have to get rid of a lot of ships I like to get this thing. I mean, I could just spend the $2,000, right? It's not like I can't afford it at all. It's more so I don't want to put much more money into this game. Like $10 here, $10 there is fine. An upgrade here, an upgrade there is fine. But another 2,000, that's not going to happen. If that happens, it'll be because of the ships that I purchased to give out to you guys. Like that's the only way I'll reach that amount. Because I have to purchase it on my account, and so it eventually will just add up to that amount. But as far as like for myself, just because I want another JPEG, no. So that's why we're having this conversation. Just a reminder. So the Corsair, the Terrapin, the Saber Firebird, I love all of these ships. These ships are all great. The Rock, the MPUV, the Emerald, Archimedes, all great. So let's do this math. We're just gonna add it all up and then we can take stuff off. So 750. I didn't pay this much for these ships, so it might not add up exactly to this amount, but it'll put me in the ballpark, and then I could, figure the rest out with either credits I already have or making some, smaller decisions. So 750 is the A2 plus the Perseus at 675. Plus the Phoenix at 350. Actually, that would be a whole pack. So yeah, that would be 450. Because I bought that as a pack, so I would get the whole pack back. That I didn't save money on. So that is one thing that I'm okay with. The fact that I didn't save any money on that. I think I did buy it War Bond, so maybe I saved like $30 or something. But yeah. The Corsair at 250. The Terrapin at 220. The Firebird at 175. The Rock at 55. The MPUV at 35. And yeah, that should do it. So as you can see, that's 2610, right? So that's enough to buy both. That's enough to buy either the Kraken or the Kraken Privateer. And that's melting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ships from my fleet, which would then become the Kraken. So this is, if I get rid of the A2, I don't really have anything to replace the A2. I don't have like I have the Valkyrie, which is good at ground fighting, right? But it doesn't have, I think the A2 has 6 turrets or something. It has some crazy amount of turrets in the A2. And I did plan on using the A2 as kind of like a ground superiority type of ship, especially where you can, I plan on doing more of the carpet bombing than the massive, nuke type bombing or Moab bombing. But yeah, I plan on putting a bunch of tiny ones in this one and just destroying the whole area of troops and ground forces and stuff. But again, do I need that? Do I need to own that ship outside of the game? Is that the ship that I should own and have in my fleet, or the ship that I should purchase in game? And I should purchase it in game, even though it's very expensive in game. I think it's either the second most, or I think it's the second most expensive ship in the entire game. So it'll take a lot of grinding to get to that. But That's what the Kraken is for. The Kraken is going to be the ship that, if I get a bunch of people together, which I don't think will be as hard as a lot of people make it out to be, but if I get a bunch of people, I think I can make a lot of money on the Kraken, on and with the Kraken. Whether we're the defensive force that's going along with somebody, because yes, we don't have the internal capability of the Idris, but with the amount of ships that we would have that can sit on top of the Kraken, yeah. And there's another ship that I could say that I don't need, but I kind of already got rid of it, which is the Liberator. This would negate my need for a Liberator, because obviously if I wanted to transport all my ships, I'd stack them on top and go where I needed to go. But I already replaced that with the Ironclad Assault, so, which is fine. I like the Ironclad Assault. The Perseus, like I said, the Perseus, I don't need it. I never really did need it. I just liked the ship, and I think a lot of people like that ship. But trading a Perseus in for a Kraken, I think I can live without having the Perseus because I have a Kraken. So I'm okay with that. The Phoenix, the 600i is gonna have to cover that, because, and you know, there is a lot of, you got to put a lot of stock into the rework. But the problem I have with losing the Phoenix is I also lose the rover that comes with it. But you know, you could say that's a wash because I get the G12 that comes with the 600i. So that's one thing. But the P72, man, I really like the P72. But I'm pretty sure you can rent the P72. I don't think you can rent it, but you can purchase it. So I mean, I really like that emerald skin. The P72 is one of my favorite ships, I think, as far as like snubs. But yeah, I think you just, there's, like I said, you got to put your big boy pants on at a certain point, and I think that's what I'm doing here. Is, as much as I like that ship and I want it to be in my fleet, I just can't keep it in my fleet because of the way that I think the game is going to work. It's just, it doesn't make sense to have like a sub $200 ship in your fleet at all, unless of course like it was, you know, a gift or free or something like that, right? The F7A, I think when it's all said and done, the F7A is probably going to be my cheapest ship that I actually paid for. Like I said, the PTV, the Nox, the PTV, the Nox, and that's it. Yeah, just the PTV and the Nox. I'll have those. The Nox is, you know, I got those with referrals. The Nox is going to probably become either an Ursa Medevac or one of these other things that I'm talking about. It'll either be one of these other ships I'm talking about. So it'll be either an Ursa Medevac, it'll be a Nova tank, or something, because I can't melt that because it's a referral thing. So it'll probably end up being the Nova tank if I had to guess, just because I think the rest of these will be fairly easy to buy in game. I think the tank is going to be the only one that's like a little more difficult to buy in game, but we'll see. I don't know. And yeah, so I'm just thinking of what's something that I'll want that I know I won't want to get rid of, and a Nova tank is one of those things. Because even if I didn't end up using it for as many in-game purposes as I thought I would, it's just fun to drive around and shoot stuff with a tank, straight up. so that's probably what that will become. And also because it started as a vehicle, I don't mind keeping it as a vehicle. It's a referral thing. So yeah, I'll probably just have the PTV, which you can't upgrade, the Nova tank, and the F7A, and those will be the only things I have that are under $200, because I'm not giving up the F7. I would say the F7A is worth more than 200, because the F7C Mark II was 175. So if you get the added value of an upgrade, I would say it's probably right at the $200 mark, maybe a little bit more. If they were to put a price on it. They just haven't put a price on it. So, but I can see people paying, you know, $25 more to upgrade their F7C to an F7A. I think a lot of people would do that. And if you count the amount of hours put into earning that, no way. The value of that ship cannot be measured in dollars. Well, it can be measured in dollars. I'd say, you know, maybe 60 hours to earn it. And yeah, the value of that ship is on a whole different level when I think about it that way. So that's why that one's got to stay. The F8C, honestly, because I'll probably hit that next mark at some point, I would get rid of the F8C, but it's a bonus that I got for hitting that level of money. But I'll get the executive edition if I keep going. So like, I'll end up with 2 F8Cs that I don't really need. I like the F8C though, so I'm not gonna complain that I have it. It's just more like I can't melt it, but I would melt it if I could. The Saber Firebird, that, like I said, that one's on the chopping block. Because the Saber Firebird is actually, I think it's underrated. The Saber Firebird to me is a ship that's meant to be stealthy. It's supposed to sneak up on an unsuspecting, you know, target, mostly a bounty, and raise hell before they know that you're even there. Like, they're all of a sudden they're dodging missiles and they have no idea that you're right behind them still doing pew pew while they're dodging the missiles. And I think that is a really cool thing that maybe I'm just the only one interested in that. Maybe there's just not that many people, but I just think that is a really cool type of gameplay. And, you know, I think the Talon Shrike can do something to that regard, but it just can't send as many missiles downrange at the same time. And I think the Razor doesn't have the missiles to do it. So, and because that's the only other one that has that type of stealth. So, yeah, I think, but it's got to go, because that gameplay sounds fun to me, but it's not relevant to what I want to do in the game long term. The Vulture was more like I really like, you know, salvage gameplay, but I don't think I really intended to keep it that long. I think I knew I was gonna eventually have to do something with it, but I think I was kind of just waiting to see what ships pop up in Star Citizen. The Valkyrie, it's my placeholder, like I said before, but yeah, that one could also go on the chopping block, you know. So I think I've said enough about the fleet, right? Let's get to the Kraken and why I need the Kraken, right? So the Kraken fills the hole of mobile base. And you're like, might be thinking, well, if you're going to do base building, why do you need a mobile base? Well, but until I build that mobile base, I need a mobile base. So I need the Kraken to land on a planet and be locked down or whatever. It's my city, right? It can land on a planet, but it's a city inside of itself, right? So everywhere it goes, it is self-sustaining. And I need to take my Kraken out, land it on a planet where I intend to do my surveying or whatever, or base building, science work, whatever I'm going to do. And then I need to be able to live out of that and have a bunch of people that can also live out of that while I'm doing my base building, right? And don't get me wrong, the Pioneer has its own, you know, living quarters and everything. So I'm not worried about whether people can live out there so much as I don't want to be limited to whatever the Pioneer can offer. I need that city to be operational and to also tell me what I need to build first, right? So we're going to run out of gas at some point. So I need to build a mine, you know, that can, I don't know if I think Quantanium is a gas, right? I think you don't mine it from the planet, or maybe it is. Maybe no, Quantanium is the rock. It's the hydrogen that you pick up outside. So yeah, so yeah, I need to build a mine to get the quantanium. I need to, make sure I have a warehouse to store this stuff, so on and so forth. Um, and I thought what that would be was the merchantman, but when you really look at the merchantman is not really built for a whole lot of people coming in and like living on the merchantman and that being like the whole thing. Yeah, it can fit your crew, and yeah, it can temporarily fit some other people, but it's not a full city inside the merchantman. It's very close though. Um, and then I have the Polaris, and I was like, well, yeah, but that's very combat friendly. It's bare bones as far as when it comes to like what it can do as far as a city, and it just became really clear I needed the Kraken. And then it was just a matter of which Kraken, the base or the privateer. And the privateer, like I said, I think it means I have to get rid of the merchantman. And we're making big boy decisions here, so it might end up being that. But luckily, I don't have to make this decision until IAE. So that's when I'll be, trying to purchase the Kraken. But I have to make the decision before Drake Day. And because I have to make the decision before Drake Day, that's where it's going to be interesting. I have to melt these ships and be ready to go when the F5 wars start. And the thing that makes me want to get the privateer is because it will make my fleet a little bit more condensed and concise, the way I think fleets really should be. 28 ships is very unwieldy. It's a whole lot to have a 28 ships, and to figure out where they are, you got to get like charts and graphs and Excel sheets. It's like spreadsheets. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I never intended to have this many ships. It was the Pokemon syndrome, or whatever you want to call it. They just grew, and I could always find a reason for. I'm really good at finding reasons to have ships. And when you're really good at that, sometimes you talk yourself into getting ships that you don't need, but you can find a reason to have. But even if I just had the base Kraken and kept the merchantman, I think the merchantman can serve a different purpose if I had a Kraken, the base Kraken. So I could focus heavily on using the merchantman solely to just sell things, and I don't have to keep it as well stocked as far as defenses, because I can just have the Kraken there, doing the defensive part, whether it's just floating above, it could just be floating above and providing defense until I get all my things on the ground, or whatever. And then the merchantman could be the one sitting on the ground acting as like, oh, people can come here and visit, and they can go aboard the merchantman, buy stuff, and then leave, and I don't have to worry about the merchantman actually providing that security. Yeah, it's just that it's the mobile space station thing, and the ability to get a Kraken in game, I think it's going to be very difficult to get those in game. Whereas like an A2, even if it was difficult, it's not going to be as difficult as the Kraken and all the rest of the ships that I mentioned. So yeah, I think I'm going to go base Kraken. Because I think the privateer loses too much storage capacity, even though it has those shops, even though I think it'll be great for those shops. And I do think if you take your privateer out and have people land on it and stuff, I think there's a problem that people will run into a little bit with the privateer, is that how do I know which Kraken you'll have? How do I know you have the privateer, whether you have the privateer or the base? So if I just come and land on your ship, am I going to get shot? I guess you have to hail people right before you land. You shouldn't just be landing on people's stuff anyway. But like, it's still like, I might just stay away from you and not hail you at all, because I think that you're pirates and you have a massive Kraken that can destroy me and whatever I'm in, right? There's only a few ships that can contend with a Kraken as far as like superior, like the ability to fight, and stay alive, right? Because that thing's going to be tough, and that thing's going to have enough weapons to take care of most threats. I think you got, you know, the Polaris, the Idris Javelin. Those of course are going to be monsters that can take care of a Kraken, but it's going to be a battle in that Polaris. I mean, even in the Idris, it might even still be a battle. It's not going to be simple. So yeah, I guess I don't know how much I want to be a space station. And I feel like if the privateer is more for if you want to be the space station, you want people, you want to constantly have that interaction where people are landing on your ship, coming inside your ship, and then buying things from you in your ship. And I don't plan on that being the major experience. I like more of the bazaar aspect of the Banu Merchantman, where I can land in the Banu Merchantman, have people buy stuff when I land. Nobody's really looking to like buy stuff from me when I'm flying in space. I don't particularly like that idea of people landing on my ship while I'm in space. So I think it just makes more sense for me to get the base Kraken. And then, you know, I don't think it'll be difficult if you already have a Kraken to get the conversion kit to make it a privateer anyway. So and I think you can just buy the conversion kit. So yeah, there's another thing. Like, I think you can purchase that outside the game too. So if I do change my mind, I think I can just get the conversion kit and be good. But I'll have to check that. So yeah, I think I've kind of talked myself into getting the base Kraken. I think it allows me to keep enough of my ships. It's just I think at this point I'm trying to figure out, do I get rid of my A2 and my Perseus? And I'll post these on my page or on my on the channel, you know, for people to, well, I'll post one of them. I think I might have my first members only poll, you know, which will be, which one should I get rid of, the A2 or the Perseus? But everybody else can feel free to just tell me in the comments which one I should get rid of. I think I already know where that's gonna go. I might end up getting rid of both of them, but we'll see. But the main question I have for you is, what do you think I should get, the Kraken or the Kraken Privateer? The Kraken Privateer, understand that if I get the Kraken Privateer, I'm getting rid of my Banu Merchantman. And I think I'll have to make the choice of getting rid of my A2 or Perseus if I get the regular Kraken. So there you have it. There's the prompt, so to speak, coming out of this video. Go and vote and see which one you think I should get, and leave comments, because a lot of times people vote, and a vote is great, but a comment is gonna really let me know, like, that's something that might open my eyes, and I might be like, oh, I see your point there. Yes, you know. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people. This whole video is, and I guess it's a request for proposals, as they say in political speak, I guess. Give me your reasons. Why should I get the Kraken? Why should I not get the Kraken at all? Should I keep my other ships? What do you think? Now, I want to caveat this by saying, yes, I'm beholden to some of these ships. I like some of these ships, but I'm also one of those people that is constantly saying, earn in game. You can earn everything in game. So don't think of this as like, no, man, keep that ship. You like that ship. Think of it more like, what would you do if you had the choice between the Kraken and these other smaller ships that you like? What would you do? And that's how we can take care of it. You know, I'm a huge fan of all of these ships that I mentioned. That's why they're in the fleet. But yeah, I think it's time to put the big boy pants on. So yeah, that's it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Shout out to the members. Peace.